I'm very excited about this plugin, and it is Blockera. I hope I pronounced it right, but this is the Blockera site builder. And what it allows you to do is enhance the current blocks that are available in Gutenberg blocks. We're just going to look at the Blockera site builder today. And as you can see, there's a lot of things that has been added. Maybe I need to zoom in a little bit. If we turn off the block editor with Blockera, you see that there's a couple of settings available for you. You see that there's normal settings for the content itself, but also some styling options. And those styling options are, if you are a little bit of a person that creates websites using page builders or are used to using CSS, these can find to be very limited, to be fair. And Blockera solves that. But instead of adding a lot of elements, they enhance the current elements. The way they do it is putting settings in settings, but in styles, you see that there's a lot of extra options. For instance, the spacing, the topography, and that sort of things. And they also will include in future animations. So very excited to look into this one. As you can see, they also allow you to create a responsive control. So if you want to have a more of a native feeling to Gutenberg blocks without adding too much things in there, I think this is a very good way of trying it out. There are some advanced options that are available, interactive states, so you can have hover states and other states as well. We're going to dive into that. You have ways of selecting blocks, and this is what I mean with a quirky way to manage something specific. And this has to do with how the core Gutenberg block solves things, and I don't think it's the best thing if you're just like me, a little bit of a developer-ish and want more of a refined control, but I think they solved it in a very nice way. They also allow you to add a WooCommerce block. But let's not just talk about it, let's just show it, right? And here is a live demo. Now, Ali asked me specifically to use the demo that is on their website. There's a free version available that you can download from the WordPress repository, but the demo that is available right here is the latest one. It is 1.5 if I remember correctly, and there we can try everything out. So here you have the WordPress theme of 2025, and here you have an option to use the Olive theme. The Olive theme is of course a very good one, so we're going to use it, and let's install and try it out. I'm very excited, Ali, to see what you guys have been up to. Now I've looked into it a little bit already, so we're very excited about that one. Yes, that is 1.5. That will be released in the next 3 to 5 days. Thank you for joining and taking your time, by the way, to to answer my questions. So here we have a first design, and I must compliment Ollie Theme Builder for having such a nice theme already and having a lot of nice looking options. And if we open the side panel, you can see that there's an icon besides the core blocks that are available. And that is for making sure you understand that it is enhanced by Blockera. So this is an indication that you can understand what block is enhanced. And to be fair, actually all of the blocks are enhanced. Now the custom HTML, which I can reckon, and shortcode are not enhanced at this time, and the navigation as well. But as you can see, almost everything has a Blockera block, and that looks very nice. Now, if we click on a setting, we are greeted with the new panel. Now we can disable it as well to just see what the differences are. Let's see, we can select instead of advanced mode, we can go to basic mode. And this is what you usually get. Now I do think I'm missing some settings right here. Maybe it's just me. And here you have the color and text and background settings that are normally available just by default. And that's where Blockera just comes in and make it a lot nicer. So you can add custom HTML attributes, for instance, a attribute key and value. I can't think of one right now, but at least it's available, and you can add multiple to them as well. So this is a very nice and welcoming option. And as you can see, it is also highlighted that there's something set. But all right, this is fun and all, but we want to make sure that we can make changes to our settings right here. Let's go to our padding, and as you can see, this looks very similar to something like Webflow or that sort of things. And you can type in what kind of margin you want in there, and there's even shortcuts and easier way to set those up. So if you want 30 padding or a padding of 120, maybe you're used to using something called variables. Variables allows you to have a granular control over your whole website, and you can press this star icon to open up all of your variables that are available in Ollie theme. And soon there will also be a possibility to add custom variables. Now we can make changes, and when we change this value in one place, we can change it in all the places. So that's a very welcoming option as well. We also have the possibility to lock the vertical and horizontal things. Now I'm very, so locking them doesn't mean that they're really locked, but you enable the same values across the board. Now in this case, deleted. Let's see, we still have set it. And as you can see, it is now set across the board as well. And now this one is lost. I don't know why, but sometimes it happens for me. I think it is the lack of understanding how this works, but you can easily remove them as well if you would like to. Now there's also some typography changes that we can do. For instance, we want this to be in medium sized. We want a different line height, for instance, 1.5. And then we can select a value as well. So this is welcome that we have a lot of values that we're used to as web devs to select values that we need to create a website as we want to. There's also some more features, and they can be hidden in two places. In the typography, you can see that there's more features right here, but some of them also allow you to select and deselect which values will be available for the user. So if you want to make it a little bit simpler, you can just press the kebab menu and select what you do or don't want to show. As you can see right here. If we want to add a nice box shadow, look at that, how easy that goes. But we don't want to add a box shadow actually, right? Let's see, then we can remove maybe a little bit of radius, but this allows you to create all kinds of designs. You can also choose other colors that we can use for our variables. Now, I'm used to doing right click and then selecting something, but I can see that this is a way of indicating as well where you can add a variable. And it's very nice that it comes from the theme. So instead of having another place where you need to manage them, you have one place where you can manage them all, and they all are integrated. Now that will be different if you're using custom variables, of course, but in this case, it looks very nice. And I think this is rather easy to use actually. It's very, very user-friendly if you know how those settings work and what they actually do. That's always the case, by the way. We can also change our layout, have different type of sizes. So you can change the max and min width. Those two are actually my most used values because normally everything has a 100% width. And with min and max, you can just say, all right, this container needs to be a maximum of this amount of characters. For instance, I think this heading is a little bit long. So let's make it 20 pixels, but instead of 20 pixels, I want it to be 20 ch, 100 ch. No, that doesn't work. I'm used to be able to type in everything, so including the value, and then the selector picks up the version, and you can set it to some kind of overflow. Nice icons, nicely designed. You can change it to certain positions. So if we want to have a absolute position, you can set how much spacing it will use to absolute position. So that's very nice and clear also on where you can set the position and how many pixels it goes from the left in this case. Changing unit type by type is currently in the roadmap to be added soon. Thank you for clarifying. Yeah, so this is a very good point from Ali. This is still in development. So these are, I assume, stable versions. And there's a lot on the roadmap, and there's a few things that got me very excited as well. So we need to look at that during the stream as well. But as you can see, there's a lot of options that you can use. In the future, there will also be a way of adding a custom CSS code as well. Now, one thing that I had with Bricks Builder is that you have all the options. And as you can see, there's a lot of options here. And every builder does it a little bit different. For instance, where could I set my z-index? I would assume that it is somewhere in the position. Yeah, it is. And it's available with z-index. So well done there. Because with some tools, it's a lot of searching before you get to the right place where you can set certain settings. You also can add block states. And you can add a block state by pressing this button and add a new state. Now here you have all the states available. So you have hover, active, focus, visited, before and after. And this allows you to create elements or different states. And it looks pretty nice actually. It looks similar to the variation selections that you have. So for instance, when we hover, I want my color of my text to change. And we can do that very easily by selecting this one and put in contrast. And now we see that hover is active, but if we want our state of normal active, it is purplish. And when we hover over it with our mouse, you see that it changes color. That also can be done with the state of active. I didn't know that was a real state. You can also add before and after. So that's also a custom clause. What is a custom clause? So you can add a custom clause to it as well. Yeah. Maybe also have a custom selector somewhere, parent clause, parent hover. So that's nice that it's already in there, that you don't have to think how can you set up the hover, and you have created a different one that was mentioned, and that sometimes happens with me. So this is a very nice way to see what is active and how the active state looks like. If we want to do anything before, you can see that we're using inner blocks, and we get it very soon. But overall, this looks very easy to use, very included like a block actually is. Those advanced states are pro features and will be finalized in the final pro version. So that's a very good remark. Advanced states like a specific selector, I guess, right? Please use hover for now, while the pro version does not release yet. Okay. So we can remove hover, this one, and hover is the only state that will be available when you're using the free version. And the paid version is, of course, using the other selector or the other states. We're going to do something fun. Let's add a search. I saw this in the demo, so I want to touch upon this as well. We add a search bar right here. And as you can see, we have inner blocks selected because there are some blocks in the search value that we can't reach with our structure. We are not able to reach the label with another structure, so we can't make them look different. So how Blockera solves this is by adding a selector, a inner block selector, for example, for your label. What if we want this to be a little bit smaller? Then we can change its size. And as you can see, the whole selection is also a different color right now. It's the color red, meaning that you're doing some adjustments there. And if we want to go back, we can close this one, and here we are back. And you can see that we have a different design for it. Now, if we are going in here in our button, we can also change the spacing or maybe make it a little bit of a round button. So let's add some pixels or just a lot of pixels. And as you can see, we can create and define how this looks and behaves. You can also add states on here. So now we have a underline in our hover state, but I want to change the color because that's more user friendly, that you can actually see something happening when you're hovering. So this is our normal state, and when we hover, you can see that there's an underline and the color of the button changes. We can also add inner block, but I don't recall what that specifically does. It, for me, for right now, for this demo purpose, it doesn't really matter perhaps, because this is the way you can just make changes to everything you see in a core block, whilst not everything in the structure is available. And that's a very welcoming thing. The same goes for adding just a simple hover state that is not available by default right now. And as you can see, there's some other states available as well that we can select style variations. That's just really awesome. Let's see. Are there any questions? Not as of yet. We can also look into our WooCommerce settings, because we can make changes to WooCommerce layout as well, using different colors and using different things. For instance, this section, again, in the structure, you see that you cannot change everything. And this is, again, the same way that they are going to fix it. You can select the blocks that are within the specific block. And it's just so smart that they did it like this. If we want to make it smaller and maybe a highlighted text, my favorite color of red. And there we go. We made the changes to the specific blocks, although we cannot reach directly to that specific block. Now, if you're a little bit lost and for instance, you have set a lot of changes, and let's do this color to blue, and you go back and this is red, and you're not certain what kind of color you've set, then you can press it and you can see that there's customizations, and the customizations in this place is specifically for the desktop, for the hover effect and for the normal color. So if we press hover, we can see that the state is switched and that we have the blue color active. So it easily helps us navigate where a certain customization has been done. Speaking about certain customizations, here we can also change things depending on what kind of device we're on. So if we want to have a different look and feel, we can do that right here. And we can select maybe a greenish color for our mobile users. Maybe dark blue is better because the greenish didn't look that good. It isn't really user friendly to have it like that. So now we have a state set for our mobile device, but also for our desktop. And if we switch to desktop and look into our customization, we see that there's a value set in desktop, but also on mobile version. And we can easily change that. Now, if you're not happy with all the changes that you've done, there's a one-click way of just deleting everything, and then it's all on. And only this current version will be active as it looks like. It's also nice that when you click on something and it isn't set, that you have some information about what will happen if you use this setting. For instance, the background clipping. I can imagine that not everybody is known how to use this and what this is. Overall, I'm pretty impressed actually with what Blockera does. And it is very intuitive actually to use. It's very simple to use if you ask me. It enhances the core blocks more than I would expect a block enhancer to do so. To be fair, never seen a block enhancer something like this, but I do like how it solves some things, especially where you have a block with a lot of settings in there that are not available in the structure. It's nice that you can just adjust it. Now, there will be a pro version in the future, and if you're interested in seeing Blockera Pro, you can join the waitlist right here. You will get a message, and I've already signed up for this one. So that one Blockera Pro comes out, that you have something to look at. They also have built a nice community, and you can just go there by going to community.blockera.ai, and here you have all the things that are up and coming for the roadmap. You also have discussions, and it is a very active community. And here you see our man Ali as well. The one thing that made me very, very interested in Blockera was, let's see, the style variation manager. I was looking at Blockera and I was like, oh, this looks awesome. That it already uses the default blocks, not adding a top extra blocks that gets you confused. You get a lot of options, especially Greenshift is notorious for it. Although it is very flexible and allows you to create a lot of awesome things, it gets very confusing. What kind of block do I need to use for this specific thing? And is this the correct way of you working with it? Now, with using just the core blocks, Blockera makes it very easy actually, and enhances what is already available. But for me, the style variations is one of the things that I was very excited about. What if you had a version that you are in control of every design aspect, so they can just say, all right, this is a style variation that is available. Now, if you don't know what style variations are, if we select our button, we see that here are our style variations, and these are actually put inside of the theme. So you don't have any control over them on how they specifically look. No control over the hover state of that sort of things. You can only select a specific version that they have already created for us. Now, although a theme does a very good job of adding those, I think having more granular control over them does make sense. And seeing this solution that they have thought up makes me very, very happy and very interested in this version as well. But yeah, they are very open on what's on the roadmap. And as you can see right here, there's a lot of things that are coming and that are delivered. And dynamic values will be available at some point as well. And look at that. This just looks simple, right? I hope you can make it as simple as this looks, but this just looks awesome. And having more dynamic fields inside, Ollie, you got me very excited about this one. So with that being said, what do you think? Compared to something like Greenshift or Generate Blocks, would you find this interesting? For me personally, I do, and I'm very interested in seeing how this will continue on growing. So I will definitely follow the advancements that Blockera does. I'm very happy that instead of creating another place where there's a lot of similar blocks added, just enhancing what already exists. It just makes sense, right? Let me know, what do you think?